The latest news coming out of Venezuela surprises no one who has a basic understanding of economics, let alone common senses. However, it did jumpstart a question that had been lurking in my mind before, and I'm surprised I hadn't thought of it earlier. Is socialism/communism only for white people? And by white people, understand, I mean really, really white people. Because if you think about it, the only place socialism has worked, sorta, is the Nordic countries. Latino-Hispanic Venezuela, Ecuador, and Bolivia have all gone through large swings to the left and only have a shortage of toilet paper to show for it. Chinese communism, again, not white, only managed to kill more people during peacetime than any world war ever did. Its smaller Oriental siblings of Vietnam and Cambodia certainly didn't make a good go of communism either. Ethiopia, again, not white, needed both Soviet money and easily duped 1980s American kids' monies not to starve. Greece, and even the Soviet Union, though pretty darn white, and even the original practitioner, was just not white enough to pull off communism successfully. Apparently, it is only the Swedes, Finns, Norwegians, and Danes who can do socialism the justice the rest of the world can't. But why? First, we need to take out the obvious outlier of the group, Norway. Again, the left loves rushing to Norway as the perfect place to live. It sure is, especially since it has so much oil its sovereign wealth fund makes all of its citizens millionaires. And remember, oil is evil. Unless it's under a state-owned enterprise, then you never mention it. Second, are they really socialist? Depending on the country you look at, the government only spends 45% to 60% of GDP, leaving a whopping 55 to 40% of money in the private hands of those rat bastard people. Not pure socialism by any stretch of the imagination. And then let's not forget these communist countries not only allow evil private corporations to exist, but they tax them at rates roughly half that of the US. Anywhere between 20 and 25%. Those traitors! So in short, even the most successful examples of communism aren't communist. They're, at best, the exception to the rule mixed European model economies. Still, why do they succeed where every other non-really white country fail? Well, first, they are racially homogenous. For now. Don't worry, diversity and the introduction of non-Scandinavian cultures will prove the myth of magic dirt wrong soon enough. But for now, they are racially homogenous. This has nothing to do with their skin, but more the climate they've evolved in over the years. No sun and cold temperatures result in very white people. That is a function of the climate. But with such cold temperatures also comes short growing seasons, which forces cooperation, heavy reliance upon thy neighbor, a team spirit, and over the years, trust. You force a people to live in that environment over the course of millennia, they will evolve both consciously and unconsciously to vote in a more socialist economic model than one where fruit and bananas are falling from trees on warm tropical beaches. Second, this instinctual work ethic makes them unconscious dupes. Even though the United States, and to a lesser extent, the rest of Western civilization, has made the technological advances that allow the individual to work for himself, support himself, and finally be free, those precious Scandinavians just can't jettison thousands of years of environmental and social conditioning. They are not as individualistic of a people. They put their country and society ahead of themselves and their family. They are genetically almost Borg-like because that is what resulted in survival in the past. And a mere 250-year American experiment won't simply undo all that programming. Therefore, not only do they enslave themselves to the rest of their own society, they're dupey enough that they'll enslave themselves to completely different societies that largely hate them, or at least view them for the easy marks they are. Regardless, this willing dupiness is necessary for a socialist economy to work. Everybody has to willingly value society more than themselves in order to work at the slave-like tax rates necessary to finance a communist or socialist state. The Swedes, Norwegians, Finns, and Danes on the whole are more than willing to do this, while the Greeks, Russians, Venezuelans, and pretty much the rest of the world are not. This is why sorta socialism works best in Scandinavia, and pretty much nowhere else. But the thing I really get a kick out of is what this spells for our beloved Western SJWs, leftists, academians, professional protesters, faux millennial intellectuals, media types, and social frauds, social scientists. A world of cognitive dissonance. Because along with the constant drumbeat for socialism and enslaving the world's population, there's nothing more these people masturbate to than diversity, and the insistence there's no such thing as culture or race or ethnicity, which ironically would be diversity. And these two things, socialism and diversity, are mutually exclusive. Unless you're a really, really white person, you simply have too much self-respect to vote in your own slavery. You're not working for other people, you're nobody's slave, and you're going to try to keep as much of yours as possible. Of course, this won't prevent you from voting for socialism anyway because you think you're special, that you won't have to actually be the slave and pay the taxes. That's for other people. And thus, unlike our Scandinavian counterparts, you'll vote for socialism, but won't put forth the selfless work ethic to make it work. Alas, socialist hellholes like, well, all of them, form. Venezuela, Cuba, Bolivia, the Soviet Union, North Korea, East Germany, etc., etc. All people of all colors of the rainbow just won't take communism, but they'll sure as hell vote it in. And thus, non-really white people suffer. Latinos in Venezuela, blacks in Detroit, chavs in the UK, Chinese buried in mass graves, liberal arts majoring millennials in college campuses. In short, the number one thing in these elitist leftists' lives, their only God, purpose, agency, and meaning in life, socialism, is bound to fail. And pronouncedly so in non-really white cultures. This is doubly destructive, because not only will their ideology fail, but it will hypocritically and disproportionately harm those the left purports to love the most, non-whites. Of course, in the end, I seriously doubt any leftist cares about socialism or non-white people. If they did, then they'd be empiricists and bravely deliver whatever socioeconomic medicine was required to truly advance their fellow human being, no matter how harsh. They, instead, are largely lazy, cowardly, self-absorbed egomaniacs who put their egos above the lives of billions, insisting billions suffer and millions die, all so they can haughtily play social science god. What's worse is the majority of humanity swallows whole the slop they're serving. Oh well, enjoy the decline.